Okay, good luck to all. We're going through the Megillah and we're literally explaining word by word. So, as a preface, let me go through the words of the Megillah we're going to explain. Bear with me. Ish Yehudi hayi b'shushan abiru shmo Mordechai ben Yoel ben Shimi ben Kish Yishmini asher haglam Yerushalayim imagala asher glasa im Yechanya melech Yehuda. Okay, and we know what Nechanya, what that means now. Nechanya means the galus that took place 7 years after Nebuchadnezzar in the 8th year. Asher haglam Nebuchadnezzar melech Bavel. He omein es Hadassah. He raised a girl named Hadassah. He Esther, who's Esther Bastodo. It's his niece. She didn't have a mother or father, so the Gemara is going to ask if he raised her, mother or father. To go ahead, become its Nairis Rabbi Shushan Abira, and the Tilachak Esther was taken by Tita Venar Be'ena, by Tisa Chesed Lefanav, by Yeviles Hamruchev Monoseha, and they got again all the perfumes and different things. And Vesheva Hana Orais, Haruyos Laseslam, Vesamelach, 7 nairos that were royal to give to her. That's so Vayishaneha Ves Naraseha, and they transferred her in a nairos. The Gemara is going to dash in all these things. Like Gid Esther Samvas Ladata, Esther did not go ahead and tell who her people were and who her nation was. Ki Mordechai Tziva Aleh Shalosh Moshe commanded her not. Mordechai commanded her not to tell. Just I'm skipping. So girls, they were kept 6 months b'Shem and Amor, b'Shish Chadashim Babsamim, with Samar Noshim, u'Bezeh Anarabel Amelech. After all this was done, they would come to the king to live with the king. U'Be'erev Hibo, Baboiki Shava, they'd come in the evening, they leave in the morning, Al Beis Noshim, and they would go to the harem. And when it came to Esther's turn to go, she didn't want anything. Okay, and she was taken. And yet, and of all the girls, Esther was most beloved by Achashverosh, Vatisachem, Vechesed Lefana, Mikol Abasulos, Vayamlicheu Tachas Vashti. Vayasem Melech Mishta Gadol Lechol Sarva Davi made a big Mishta. The Mishta, as we're going to see, was the purpose of finding out the information that he didn't know, who exactly what her lineage is and what nation was. Nonetheless, Esther did not go ahead and say who she was. Esther did the biddings of Mordechai, just as when she was raised by him. Okay, and then we have the Maisa of Big Son B'Sheresh, and that leads us into Perek Gimel, and we'll stop over here because basically those are the psukim that we'll need. Okay, we're up to Yud Beis Amid Beis at the bottom of the page. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines to the bottom. 7 lines to the bottom. Ish Yehudi Hayib Shushan Abira. Ish Yemini. My Kamar. What are you telling me? Ili Yechusa Kasi. If it's Bimiachis, his lineage, then Liachsa Vazla Ben Yamin. Why do you stop short? Ish Yemini Hayib Shushan Mordechai ben Kish ben Yoyer. If you want to go all the way to Yichus, go all the way to Binyamin. Ella Maishna Hani. What's the reason you learned these names? Tana Kulan al Shemai Nikru. These are all synonyms for what? For Mordechai. It's not speaking about different people. It's speaking about one person, and all these names are synonyms to his name. Ben Yair. Why was he called Mordechai ben Yair? Because Ben Sheheir and name Shal Yisrael B'Tfilasai. He was a child that literally illuminated what Klal Yisrael with his tefillah. Ben Shimi, he was called Ben Shimi, is Ben Sheshama al Tfilasai, that his tefillah was heard. Ben Kish, Shehikish al Shari Rachmim, Shehikish, he knocked on the Shari Rachmim, the Niftachuloi, and it was what it was opened up for him. So all these are allusions to one person, Mordechai. Karila Yehudi, he's called Yehudi. Alma Yehuda Kase. When he says Yehudi, you see he came from Shevet Yehuda. The Karila Yemini. Conversely, he's also called Yemini. So Alma Binyamin Kase. So which Shevet did he come from? Did he come from Yehuda or did he come from Binyamin? So Rav Nachman, Mordechai Muchta bin Musihayim. Mordechai was what? He was Muchta in names. He was like mamish outstanding, as we're going to explain right now. Amar Rav Chana, Amar Yeshua. Ben Levi of Binyamin, his father was Binyamin, Yehuda, and his mother was Yehuda. So he was Muchtar ben Musa. He's praised wonderful names. The Musa is a lashon of his names in lashon of Yavani. So which two names? Binyamin and Yehuda, illustrious names. Rabbanan Ami Mishpachas Miskaris Ubezu. The Mishpachas, they would fight over each other. Mishpacha Yehuda Omeres Anod Agarim, the Misyal and Mordechai. We called Mordechai to be born. Why? Like Katli David L'Shimi ben Gera. Okay, a little background is required to understand this. David is on the run. His son Avshalom is rebelled against him, and he's looking to kill him. And he's leaving Yerushalayim, and he's running away. And as he runs away, a person named Shimi ben Gera, who was from Shevet Binyamin and had been, in fact, his Rebbe, comes down and curses him. The Gemara said, the Pasuk says in Malachim, who kilani called Nimretzes, Nayafi, he called me a Noyef, he called me an adulterer, Mem, he called me a Mayavi, he called me from some Avia, Reish, he called me a Reitzeach, Tzadi, he calls me a Tzoyrer, and Tuf, he called me a Tayeva. In other words, he really let him have it. He really let have it. He held David was guilty with Bathsheba, and thus his son rebelled. And now he's cursing him. Amasa, David's general, says, let me go over and lop off his head. And David says, everything's in the Rebbeinu Shalom. This is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. Now, Mordechai was a direct descendant of Shimi. Had David allowed Amasa to kill Shimi, then Mordechai never would have been born. So therefore, it's saying the Yehuda is taking praise. Listen, I know Garam the Misyal and Mordechai. Why? Like David, who was from Shevet Binyamin, did not kill the Shimi ben Gera, right? That was they took credit. Mishpachas Binyamin Amra, and the Mishpachas of Binyamin said, Minoi Kasi, he came from us. Minoi Kasi, he came from us. He came from Binyamin. Rava Amar, Knesset Yisrael Amra, Lidach Kisa. They said this, Knesset Yisrael, they said this, the Idach Kisa, meaning as a negative. Rava Ma'asali Yehuda. Look what this Yehuda did. Look what this person of Yehuda did. Uma Shilam Yemini, and look what this person of Binyamin paid me back with. Ma'asali Yehuda, Amid Aleph, like Katli David L'Shimi, he didn't kill him. This Yali, meaning Mordechai, the Mikne Bei Haman. In other words, they're accusing Haman's hatred for Kal Yisrael was the fact that Mordechai failed to bow down to him, thus causing the hatred and the decree that would kill the rest of us. Had David allowed Shimi to be killed, it never would have happened. It never would have happened, right? It never would have happened. Yamini, what did he pay me back with? And what did the Binyamin pay me back with? Like Kotli Shol Agag. We were familiar in Shmuel Tesvav. Shol failed to kick Agag Melech Malach. We spoke this out the other day. The Yalid Minei Haman. Haman was born as a result. Remember that night was escaped. The Mitzar Yisrael. So each Yehuda was guilty of Mordechai that caused us problems, and Binyamin was guilty of Haman that caused us problems. So either way. Anyway, so there's two ways to darshan the Yehuda Binyamin connection. Fascinating. Rabbi Yochanan Aloilim Binyamin because he really came from Binyamin. If you might call Yehudi, why was it called Yehudi? Really, not because of any blood connection. Al Shem Shekafa B'Avodah Zarah, because he denied Avodah Zarah. Shekola Kaifa B'Avodah Zarah Nikra Yehudi. Anyone who denies Avodah Zarah is called a Yehudi. Kidduch it says Isai Guvrin Yehudayin. At the end of the pasuk says they didn't bow down. They didn't bow down. That Hanani Mishael Rezaiah did not bow down to the slam of Nebuchadnezzar. So you see the lashon of Yehudi in conjunction of not bowing down. So Mordechai did not bow down to Haman. Again, Haman made himself in the Avodah Zarah, and Memele is called Yehudi because he exemplified that need of refusing to bow down. Rabbi Shimon ben Pazik, he have a pasuk with Divrei Hayamim. It's interesting. We just had the Gemara a few days ago, where many different opinions were given in the Psicha to Megillah, which pasuk they would begin with. So it seems that they didn't only do it in Megillah. Here is the last books of the Ksuvim called Divrei Hayamim in English Chronicles. Right, we're having over here the Pesach of Shimon ben Pazik. Amahachi, Kol Dvarecha Echad Heim. All the names in Divrei Hayamim, they're all one. And we know how to darshan them. What does it say? The Ishtay HaYehudis Yalda, and the woman, the Ishtay Yehudia, a woman Yehudia, she gave birth Es Yered Avi Godar, Ves Chaver Avi Soichai, Ves Yekusil Avi Zenuach, Ve'ela B'nei Bisya Bas Paroi, Ashalokach Mered. Now, and these were all the children of Bisya, the daughter of Paro, that married Mered. So you had all these names, the names of Yered, Gedor, Cheves, Soika, Yekusil, Zenuach. These are all the children of Bisya. Yet you began the pasuk by saying, V'ishta Yehudiya. What's her name? Is her name Bisya? Her name Yehudiya. Am I calling her Yehudiya? Why was she called what? Yehudiya. Al Shum Shekipper by the Zara. And this is what we're bringing in. She was Kaifa by the Zara. So Yehudiya would be the female contemporary of Yehudi. So she was just like Yehudi, that the Chananya B'Shalom Azariah referred to Yehudi because they failed to bow down to the Tzlem. So she's called Yehudiya because she did not bow down to Avodah Zarah. She was a Dechsiv, but Tered Bas Paro Lirchetz Alayar, and Bas Paro came down to wash by the river. From Rabbi Yonason, you know why she went down? Sheyarda Lichleis Migilule Beis Avia. She came to wash herself away from the Gilulim, from the Avodah Zarah in the house of her father. Good, fascinating. So Bisya, when she was going down, even though there was no real geris, we know Bisman Hazeh that a ger goes to the mikvah. In the old days, in addition, they had to bring a carbon, right? We had a Gemara that there's an opinion that you had to separate the money and to bring it last lava. They said the money, you're going to separate the money, it's going to cause problems. I'm just recalling my memory, not that I expect you to remember it. Anyway, so she went down Lirchitz, it seems to be, to wash herself from the disgust of this Avodah Zarah, to get rid of it. She was going to get rid of this Avodah Zarah. So what did she say? Yolda, how did she give birth to all these people? She only raised Moshe. She didn't give birth to these people. Anyone who raises a child in their house, an orphan, right? The Torah considers if it's born. I found a tshuva from some soifa that ad kedei kach you can be called up to the Torah by the name of the father. In other words, if a Yosem is raised, and be even called up ad kedei kach by the name of the father, it will be acceptable. Now, just derech digressing, we went through these names, guys. Yered, Gedor, Chava, Soichai, and he said they're all one name. As we're going to see, all these are synonyms for Moshe Rabbeinu. All these are synonyms for Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe's name wasn't Moshe. Moshe came in this week's parsha, right? Rabbi Rosenzweig came in Amayim Mishisiu, right? This week's parsha. She was drawn out of the water. His name wasn't Moshe. He had a bunch of different names. Yered, who's Yered? Zeh Moshe. V'lo menikra shema Yered. Sheyared lehem Yisrael mon biyamav. Because the mon fell down, Yorad fell down. The mon fell down in his days. Gedor. Why was it called Gedor? Shegeder Pirtzasem Shel Yisrael. By going ahead and receiving the Torah, he closed any breach in Klal Yisrael, any possibility of any opening. The Torah is all encompassing. It teaches us everything and how to live our lives. So any pirza, any breach in Klal Yisrael would have been gone ahead and solutionized by Moshe. But Chava, why is it called Chava? Shechibe es Yisrael Avinu Shebeshamayim. He connected us to Avinu Shebeshamayim. Saikai, why was it called Saikai? Again, this is the Rishuma and Pazi say the names are all the same, one person. Why was it called what? Saikai, Shenasa Lem Yisrael Kisukah. Saikai means to shelter, to cover, as we spoke in the Sukkah, the Schach, Hashem Schach, and the covering. So he protected us. Yikusil, why was it called Yikusil? From the Lashon of cover, it's to gather. Shekav Yisrael, Lekel B'Yomav. They gathered them all together. And finally, Zenuach, why was he called Zenuach? He threw away all the avonos of Klal Yisrael. Now, it's very, look back at the pasuk, guys. It says, now, obviously, if we're saying to the same person, it wasn't Avi, the word Avi, it's not the father, right? So obviously we have to darshan those words because that doesn't mean father, because they're the same person. So therefore, the Gemara says right away, Avi, the three Avis there, right? Rabbi Rosenzweig, you can go to this Gemara, it's yours. Av b'Torah, Av b'Chachma, Av b'Nevias. Moshe was an Av in Torah, and Av in Chachma, and Av b'Nevias. Okay? And continuing the pasuk, Ve'elu b'nei Bisya, Asher lokach mered, v'chi mered shmoi, v'alei kolev shmoi. His name wasn't mered, it was Kolev ben Yefuna. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Yava Kolev shemered be'etzas meraglim. Let Kolev, who was mered, who rebelled against the etzas meraglim, remember only him and Yeshua, The Yisa es Bas Paroi, Shemorda Begilui Bas Avia, and marry Bas Paro, who is Morda, she rebelled Bat, Begilui Bas Avia. Now, just for trivial purposes, I got a great question. What was the relationship between Bas Paro and Miriam? They would Saris. The Gemara in Saita says that Kolev married Miriam also. Miriam, the sister of Moshe, was married to Kolev. So L'chaira, they would Saris. They would Saris. They were. You can do a lot with this trivial work. So okay. Anyway, Asher Hoglam Yerushalayim. Again, as we said in Megillah. Now this is the in the 8th year of his reign, he came up, Nebuchadnezzar, and he put the Chanya and the Chorish V'Sogya, the great people in Klal Yisrael, he took them to Golus Babel. The great people went to Babel. Amarava Shegolam Yatzmai. Mordechai decided to join them. He wasn't part of the Golus, he decided to join them. It continues, it says, Vayihi Omein es Hadassah, he raised an Omein, he raised this orphan, Karli Hadassah, but Karli Esther. And then it says Esther. What's her name? Is the name Hadassah? Is the name Esther? Tanya Rameh Omer, Esther Shema, her real name is Esther. V'lama nikra Shema Hadassah, al Shem Tzadikim shenikru Hadassim. Through the name of Tzadikim that are called Hadassim. V'chein Omer, who Omeid bein HaHadassim. She stood among the Hadassim. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hadassah Shema. Her name wasn't Esther, her name was Hadassah. V'lama nikra Shema Esther, what she called Esther? Al Shem Shehoisa Masteris Devarecha. She hid her words. The shirish of Samich Tov Reish. We'll get back to it later on in the share, to this lashon of stira. Shnemar ein Esther Mageda says Amma Esther did not go ahead and tell Achashverosh where she's from. Hadassah Shema, her name was Hadassah. Beloma Nikras Esther, why was she called Esther? Shaya Umas Oilam Korinoi Al Shum Istahar. They called her Istar is lashon the moon. She was as beautiful as the moon. Ben Azay Esther Le'eruchav like Kitzori. She wasn't too tall, she wasn't too short. Paisa Ela Beinanis Hadassah like a myrtle, which is not too tall and not too short. Rishuv and Karcha Esther Yirak Haisa. Esther was green. Right? We're going to see that that's not a Maila. We're going to see a Gemara later on. The Chut Shel Chesed Mashach Aleha. So why, if she was green, if she had jaundice, why did she find favor in the eyes of Achashverosh and everyone around her? It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu literally drew a Chut Shel Chesed that people should find favors in the eyes of people. The Navi, the Megillah continues. Kein la av ve'em. She did not have a mother or a father. When they died. Obviously, she didn't have mother or father. What's going on here? Can you hear me? Okay, because I don't know any. Some Ravacha. So what if she came of aim with Maisa via Rima Lamali? Ravacha Ibrosa Mace Avia when her mother was pregnant, her father died. Yoladata, when the mother gave birth, Mesa she died. So Mama, she was a yasan that never saw a mother, never saw a father. Mesa Ima. So this is very important, guys. He took her as a daughter. Don't say he took her as a daughter. He took her as a house, meaning he took her as a wife. Okay, this is a quote from the Navi. This is a quote from the Navi when after David takes Bathsheba, Nasan and Navi comes along and he gives a Musa Shmuz to David. It's a very, very long Musa Shmuz. And what does he say? Rosh and Kol Kim Kivsa Achas. He only had one sheep. Kitana, Asher Kana, Vayichayeha, Vatigdal Imoy, Vimbanov Yachta, Mipitoy, Toichal. They ate from his own food, Umikaisei Tishta, and drank from his own kais. Tishkav, and they slept down together. And she was to him like a bas. So we see there that what it means what over there bas means a wife. So just like over there it means a wife, so to her means house. What I have to say, kibayis. Hachanami kibayis. Okay, so therefore it's like what, like a wife. And again, the Megillah continues. Ve'esheva hanoiros. Why Dafka 7? Amarava shoyso moina behen yemei Shabbos. Right. One Nara was called Sunday. One was called Monday. One was called Tuesday. One was called Wednesday. One was called Thursday. One was called Friday. One was called Shabbos. So she knew how to keep Shabbos based upon which one of her nairas was serving her. That's why the number of 7 is significant. Fascinating. Then it says Vayishana Vesnaraseha, and they literally transferred Amar Rav Shechilu Michael. What is, in other words, they treated her different than other nairas. It says they Shechilu Michael Yehudi. Rav and Shmuel. So Rav said that they fed kosher food. That she was different. Vayishana is lashon of transfer, lashon of different that she ate kosher food. Ushmuel Amar Shechilu Kidlei de Chaziri. So Rashi says Kidlei de Chaziri, baconus, shmenis. Ari, here's your black Gemara. Rashi says they fed him bacon, and Rashi says umetoich einsa, because she was an einis, lo ne'anasha, she wasn't punished for eating bacon. So according to Rashi, Esther ate bacon. If you look at Taisus, small Taisus, the third one on the page, Kadli de Chaziri, the Chas v'Shalom he loy hoysay cheles, she did not eat that. The Mesoras Hashas brings on the side, he says it's called Kadli de Chazirei, and it's speaking Roishal Chasa, it's a lettuce head, but not that Chas v'Shalom she would eat bacon. So you have a varied opinions as to what her menu consisted of. But that's by Shaneha, she ate differently than other people. Rav Yochanan Amar is Zeroinim, she ate seeds. The Chenu Omer by Hiya Meltzar, and it says the Meltzar Noise as pas bagam, the Noise lehem Zeroinim, and gave them Zeroinim, took away the food and gave them non-kosher food, gave them Zeroinim. The Megillah said, Shisha Chadashim b'Shemen Amar, 6 months in Shemen Hamar, my Shemen Amar, Rav Chia bar Abba Amar, Satkas, it's balsam oil. Rav Huna Amar Shemen Zayish Lehevi Shlish, it's olive oil that did not grow or reach a third of its growth. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, and Piknun, Shemen Zayish Lehevi Shlish, and Piknun is olive oil that did not reach a third of its growth. The Laman Saich Nesai, why would they use this oil to go ahead and anoint them and rub it on them? Shemesher es haseir, it removes hair. Umadin es habasar, and it goes ahead and illuminates the skin. The Erev Hibad, again, to continue with the lashon of the Megillah. The Erev Hibad, the girl would come in the evening. Ubaboiki Shava, and she'd leave in the morning. Rabbi Yochanan mitoich kinusa shalosh Russia, that he had such a voracious appetite for different women. Lamadu shvacha. We hear what his shvach. Shemeshes mitasa b'yoyim. That he wasn't mishamish. He didn't have relations during the day because it says she came in the evening and left in the morning. The Megillah continues. Vati Esther nasachein. Esther found favor. Amar Rabbi Lazar Malamed. Shekol echad v'echad in masaloi ku'umasai. Each one considered her as if it was her ummah, if their nation. But Tilachik Esther el Hamelech, Esther was taken to the palace of the king. Achashverosh al Beis Malchusai, b'chodesh Asiri u'chodesh Teves. That's the winter. Yerach shenene guf min aguf. It was the winter time. So when the winter time, bodies give body heat off. So therefore, the people, like imagine the summer, it's sweaty. But in the winter, right together, it's more gshmak. So she was taken at a time where it's more apt for Achashverosh to have enough from her. Vayev HaMelech esestim mikol hanoshim hatisachin v'chesed lefanav mikol ha'besulos amarach bikesh litam tam besula. When he was with Esther, he wanted to taste the tam of besula. He did. Time tam beula tam, whichever one. Vayas HaMelech mishta gadol avad mishtiya v'legalia, made a party to go, that she should tell him who his nation was. She didn't reveal it. Galilee doli karga. He went ahead and took the tax off. He took the tax off in her honor. You know, as people said, wow, in her honor, they took over tax. Nonetheless, not go ahead and reveal it. Shada Pardishnov, she sent gifts to all the people, to the important people. And she still not reveal her ummah. Because it's Besulas Shainis, the second time. So why is it coming the second time? Azul Shakal Eitzim Mordechai Yoma. Listen, you want to know the truth? Mordechai said, listen, Ein Isha Miskana Ola Biyerech Chaverasa. She'll get jealous when she sees you with other women, and maybe then she'll reveal her nation. Nonetheless, even though he was taking other women, he still did not reveal. She did not reveal her nation. Pasuk says in Iyov, "La yigra mitzadik einov." Says Rashi, top Rashi left. Noisein einov v'maiset tzadikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu places his eyes in the action on the ma'aseh of tzadikim. L'shalom lehem, to pay them back. Af liyamim rabim, mida min mida. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will go ahead and pay back Rishoyim many generations later to something that they did. Kadosh Baruch Hu does not detract his eyes. What does that mean? What's an application of a midah that a Kadosh Baruch Hu midah connected midah pays back? In the schar of the tznias that was the Rachel, zachsa v'yanam imenu shol. She was zoiched that who would descend from her shol. Ubeschar tznias shahaya ba b'shol, and the schar of the tznias of shol, zacha v'yatzim imenu Esther, was zoiched that Esther came out. Now, what was the tznias over here? It's not what you're thinking. Now, it's really true that Shaul was an unbelievable tznuah. We see that when he was in the cave, David could have killed him. He went to the cave to go to the bathroom. David comes into the cave, and his men said, listen, this is our chance. He's running after us. We can kill him. And he sees that the Lashon of Navi, Shaul went in the cave, lahasech es raglov. He was alone in the cave, and Lashon lahasech, like a sukkah, he was totally covering himself as he went to the bathroom. So David couldn't kill him. So he was an unbelievable tznuah. But the midah of tznius that the Torah is going to go ahead and be mitzaref, the parallel between Rachel, Shaul, and Esther is the ability to keep quiet and not tell anybody anything. That's the tznius over here. Umat tznius ha'isab of Rachel, the chsiv, vayagel Yaakov Rachel, ki ochi aviyahu. Yaakov told Rachel that he's the brother of a father. Says the Gemara, was Yaakov the brother of a father? Ben Achas Ivahu. He was the son of the sister of the father. He was nephew. El Amalah, this is what happened. Amalah said Yaakov to Rachel, Minasfali, marry me. Amalei in. Yes, I'll say yes. Miyu Abaramahu. My father is a liar. He's a tricker. You won't allow it. So Amalah Achivan Abaramoyas. He's a tricker. I'm a tricker. Amalei, Musa, tzaddik like you, are you permitted to go ahead and be a Ramai? Amalei, in, I am. With a person that's straight, you're straight. With a crooked person, you can be crooked. Amalo, Umayra Musa, what's the Ramayas? Amalei, listen, Isli Akta the Kashishimina. I got a sister that's older than me. He won't let me get married before her. Masa, what did Yaakov do? Masa lo Simonim. Right? They gave the Simonim. And Kimata Laila, Omra Hashta Michsva Achsai, my sister's going to be embarrassed. And Master Sinu Nehala gave the Simonim to Leah. Behold, in the morning it was Leah. Until now, it wasn't Leah. He only found it in the morning. Therefore, Rachel, who what's the tznius of Rachel? Look at Rashi, guys. This is fascinating. Rashi says, on the right side, the second little line, Masrasan Lileya, for who tznius, what's the tznius? She didn't tell anyone she gave the simanim. In other words, nothing, kept quiet about it. Didn't go ahead and laud herself for doing this amazing thing. And we know the schus of Rachel Imenu, in this schus, she's buried in Beis Lechem, that she can daven. When we went into Gullus, the reason we survived, she davened, right? The famous Rachel al Banecha, Rachel is Mevake al Banecha, famous song, right? Interesting. What were the simanim, guys? What were the simanim you gave? You know, I'll give you two pshatim. Toisvis, meaning that's Kenan Bali Toisvis on the Chumash says she gave the three mitzvahs of an isha: Nida, Chala, and the Lakas Neris. Nida, Chala, and Lakas Neris. Those are the three simanim. I found the Chidah brings the shame, his Zeda. Three simanim are touching the right toe, the right big toe, the right thumb, and the right ear. That's what we do by a mitzvah. By mitzvah, those are the three simanim. He says, and that gets rid of. She said, and that gets rid of the sitra achad. That gets rid of the yetzer hara. Okay. Anyway, those are the simanim. Now, fascinating. Again, umat tznius ha'isa b'shol. What's tznius shol? Okay, a little background, guys. Shol is Bnei Yisrael are complaining they don't have a king. Shol loses the donkeys. They leave. He goes looking for the donkeys. He comes to Ramah, and he wants to go to the Roya. The Roya is before they were called Nevi'im, they were called the Roya. A Navi is the Lashon guy's Nivs Fasayim. He says Nevuah L'Doiris. A Roya is somebody, you go to him and he tell you the future, but not like the guys on Coney Island Avenue that has the tarot cards out. They have a psychedelic advisor, right? This is a real arroya. We tell you exactly what to know. He went to Shmuel where the donkeys were, and Shmuel does something very interesting. He not only tells him where the donkeys are, he anoints him as the first king of Klal Yisrael. This is the king. So what happens? He comes back. Here's what happens. He comes back home. His uncle asked him, what did the Raya say? He goes, we'll find the donkeys. And leaves out the fact that he was anointed the first king of Klal Yisrael. So again, you see this ability to be quiet, not to go draw attention to yourself. Rachel and Shol, the Ein Esther, the same thing. Esther. It's Esther, and that's the lashon la yigrul mitzadik ein of Hakadosh Baruch Hu pays back mida keneged mida. In the most famous people from the tribe of Binyamin, one after the other, Rachel, Shaul, Esther, the tznius of refraining from going ahead, lauding themselves, speaking about themselves, keeping quiet. That's a certain tznius. Hakadosh Baruch Hu poisik gedula la'adam, poisik lebanov lebnei banov at seif kol adairis. It continues on. Now, this is the end of the pasuk la yigra mitzadik einav. It says vayashivim lenetzach v'yigbahu, and Kadosh Baruch Hu, the pasuk says, will place them lenetzach v'yigbahu, and they will be elevated. V'im higis daita, and if a person becomes a bal gaiva, Kadosh Baruch Hu ashpilo, Kadosh Baruch Hu will lower them. Shnemva v'im ma'isireim b'zikim yilkodu b'chavlei avoynei, and if they are in chains, they'll be caught up in the ropes of poverty. They put them. Mordechai, it says she did the Maimon Mordechai. What did she do? Now, this is a really, really very interesting sugya. She would show dam nida l'chachamim. The Gemara Nida says there are 5 different shades that are tamei, and she, Maimon Mordechai, she was so to what the chachamim, she would show any shilas. Was the Omna. That's why she brought up Itai, just as she brought up to show any shilas to Mordechai. Over there also, she would show any shilas. Amma Rabba Bar Lima says Rabba Bar Lima, Shahoisai Medis Micheker Shel Achashverosh. She mamish was in the chek, literally in the chest, lying against Achashverosh. V'toiveles. She then would go to the mikvah. V'yosheves b'cheker Shel Mordechai. And she would go ahead and then be with Mordechai. Okay, we're going to get back to this. I'm going to get back to this. I want to speak a little bit about this. So imagine she's living with 2 men. It's mind-boggling. Let's finish the daf, and we'll get back to this. And this is the end of what we read in the Megillah, is the treachery of Bigsan B'Sheresh. Kotzah, Bigsan B'Sheresh, they got angry at Achashverosh, and they plotted to kill him. Rav Chia bar Rabba, Rabbi Yochanan, Hiksiv HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they got Hiksiv HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Odon Alavadav, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu got angry, and Odon Alavadav, Lasais Ratzin Tzaddik. So what happened? HaKadosh Baruch Hu caused one Odon on his Eved. Paro got angry at a Sarah Mashka, Lasais Ratzin Tzaddik, to do the Ratzin of a Tzaddik. Umanu, who's that Tzaddik? Yosef. HaKadosh Baruch Hu caused Paro to get angry at the Saramashka, and the rest is history. Shenemar, the Shomi Tanu Narivri, and we was taken out of prison, and everything else. Avodim al Daneim, he caused servants to get angry at their master. Lasas Neslet Tzaddik, who are the Avodim? Bigsan B'Sheresh, who's the Adin? Achashverosh. And he caused them to do a Neslet Tzaddik, Umanu, who was the Tzaddik Mordechai. The Chsiv, by Yivoda Adav Mordechai, became known to Mordechai what their plan was, what their plot was. Rabbi Yochanan, Bigsan B'Sheresh Shnei Tarsiyim Havi. Bigsan B'Sheresh with 2 people from the town of Tarshish, and they were speaking a foreign language. From this time, this person Achashverosh came to power. We don't get to sleep. Rashi brings that he was so involved. After he would have involved with the women, they'd have to bring him food to drink. They'd have to go ahead and bring him to food to eat and to drink. So they got no sleep. So they wanted to kill him. So Bavanitel Eres, they came and they took a poison. That they'd give him poison. Miyoshre Lishkas HaGazos. So they didn't know Mordechai was what? A person who sat in the Lishkas HaGazos, meaning he was a member of the Sanhedrin. And the member of the Sanhedrin, as a result, he understood 70 languages. Bezdin has to hear directly from the Eidim. They can't hear Hamaturgiman. They can't hear secondhand. So they had to be able to understand all the languages. So he understood Tarshish. And they looked after the it seemed that the Mishma that they weren't on at the same time. And they had to be there at the same time for whatever reason for the plot to work out. So Amaloi, Ani Yeshma Mishmarti, I'll do yours, Mishmartecha and mine. They found that the guy wasn't there when he was supposed to be there, and that's how what. Okay, Achad Varam Eila begins with Haman. Amar Rava Achash Shebora Kodesh Baruch Hu Refuah L'Maka. If the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the refuah to the Makkah, Esther placed Esther in position. Dam Reish Lakish Ena Kodesh Baruch Hu Makkah Es Yisrael Elam Kain Bar Lehem Refuah Tchila Shenemar Kerife Yisrael V'Nigla of Ephraim. Avalumas Oilam Ena Kain Makkah Isan V'Achach Bar Lehem Refuah. First they get struck down and then they get the refuah. Shenemar V'Nigaf Hashem Es Mitzrayim. First Hashem is struck Mitzrayim Nagif. And then he cured him. It says, Mordechai, he went ahead and again is Mordechai. Let's go. I think it pays to go through this. We're going to dash in a few psukim over here. Ben Amidasa Agagi Van Yeseu Vayasem Eskisa Mial Kol Hasharim, put him in the highest spot. Kolabi Melech Asher B'Shai Melech Kairim B'Shtachavim Lahaman Kichin Tziva Hashem Melech Mordechai Lo Yichrav L'Ishtachva. Mordechai did not go ahead, bow down or posture himself. Vayoma Abdi Melech Asher B'Shai Melech Mordechai Medu Atem Oivers Mitzvah Melech. Why don't you listen? Vahi Ba'amar Love Kamar Melav Yom Yom Vayshama Aleim Vayigidu Lahaman Liris Yamdu Devei Mordechai Ki Yigel Lehem Esashel Yehudi Vayar Haman Ki Mordechai Karei Mishtapala Vayimole Haman Chema Vayives Be'enav. And Haman was filled, right? The aim of l'shloyach yod to go ahead what and to go ahead l'shloyach yod and Mordechai not only him but kihigel yes amay Mordechai vaybakesh shom lahashmik eskola Yehudim asher b'chol malchus Achashverosh and Mordechai. Okay, and then b'chodesh Rishon u'chodesh Nisan b'shnash nemas lemelech Achashverosh people pour the famous lots. He runs a lottery. It was a double lottery to see which day and which month, and he runs this guy-roll. Okay, and it comes out in Adar. Okay, and then he says. There's an am that is spread out. They're different. They don't listen to you. It's not worth to keep them around. Right to destroy them. And 10,000 silver kikarim will be given, weighed out. Lahavi El Ginzi Amelech. Vayasa Amelech is tabat. He removes his what, his tabas, and that's tomorrow's daf. Okay, so until then, let's see what we got. So, you said by Yivez, where am I? By Yivez ben of the Shach Yam Mordechai Lebadei Amarov Betchilas Mordechai Lebadei Lebesayf Ba'am Mordechai Umono Rabbanon. So in other words, who's the Am is the Rabbanon. First Mordechai, then the other Am, and then all the Jews. It's so fascinating that Hitler, Yamach Shemoy, did the same thing. Hitler, the first thing he did when he came to the towns, my Rebbe said, he gathered all the Rabbanim and he killed them. When he came to Vilna, the first thing the Germans did is they gathered all the Rabbanim and they killed them. They found in his Ksavim, he said to destroy the Jews, we have to get the Talmudists of Lithuania. The Talmudists of Lithuania. He understood, it's an amazing thing, that to destroy the Jews, you have to destroy their leaders. And who are the leaders? The Talmudists, according to Hitler. The Rabbanim, some Mefurish Gemara guys. Peloploim, Mefurish Gemara. Hippel Puri went ahead and he had a lottery. Who are Goyrel? Tana Kimin Shenafel Pur B'Chodesh Adar Sameach Simcha Gedol. He was so happy. Why? Amar Nafali Pur B'Yerech Shemes by Moshe. It fell in the month that Moshe died. He didn't know. Not only died that month, he was born that month. Again, the Megillah continues. No one knew how to speak Lashon Hara like Haman. Amalei, he said, let's destroy them. He told Achashverosh, let's destroy them. Amalei said, Achashverosh, I'm scared of their God. The Loyla Ovid be the Ovid Kamoi. It shouldn't happen to me like happened to my forefathers. Amalei said, no, Yeshanim min mitzvahs. They're literally sleeping from mitzvahs. Don't worry. Those old days they kept the Torah. Now they're not keeping mitzvahs anymore. You don't have to worry. Amalei. So Ispu Rabbanon. So Achashverosh till home 1 second. There's the Rabbanon who do keep mitzvahs. Amalei said, Am echad hein. They're what? They're one nation. They're all one. Listen, you want to tell me that I'm going to make, Haman says, I'm going to make a patch in your kingdom and get rid of the Malchus? They're spread out. You think you have enough of them? They're like a mule. With the same shoyness mikolam, they don't eat like us. They don't marry us. The estasi and melech ain't oisim. They don't do what you want them to do. The mafik l'kula shasa b'Shabbos hayom Pesach hayom. They don't work on Shabbos. They don't work on Pesach. The Mefarshim say who did Pesach, who's the first of the Yom Tov and Shavuos and Sukkot. In other words, they keep up all the time. How many times the guy goes to his Goyisha boss and says, "I got to take off again." You got to take off again. How many Jewish holidays are there? Right? How many Jewish holidays are there? Right? You see, it's all in the Gemara, guys. Too many Jewish holidays. You don't have to keep them around. Guess what? Even if a zavuv falls in the kais, shall echa mehem zarka, they'll throw it out, b'shaseyo, and drink it. However, the madoni amelach noiga b'kais shall echa mehem. However, if you Achashverosh touches one of them, mehem chayftem b'karka, they'll throw it on the ground, b'shaseyo. Now that's very interesting, fellas. Stam Yenam, the Isra Stam Yenam was made much later. It was made much later. It wasn't around in Bimei War Achashverosh. The Chari, you have to say they were machmer on themselves, right? Bimei Achashverosh, there was no Isra Stam Yenam. If a guy touched your wine, you could drink. That happened. It was a gezerah much later because of chasnus. In other words, when we think about Stam Yenam, there's yayin that's nisuch, yayin nesech. Yayin nesech is nisuch avodah zara. Stam yenam, which a guy makes, is not avodah zara. It's we're worried about chasnus. We're worried about that. If you drink with the guy, you'll end up marrying the guy. So therefore, this wasn't around then. So what does it mean that Haman's saying that what? You know what? If you would touch it, you see mistama. Even in those days, the Yidden stayed away from that. Imam Melech Toiv Yikasev la'avdom v'aseres lochem kika kesef, right to get rid of them. And I'll give you over a tremendous amount of money. They make cheshbonis over here. This is equal to 600,000 chatzi shkolim. That's the amount of kesef is willing to give. Can I get each one of the yardim given out of Mitzrayim? Amrei Shlakish Goli bidul mishama b'haya olam she'asid Haman lishkol shkolim al Yisrael lefika higdim shekleim lishkolov. Therefore, ashkolim become before his. Behind it nan be'echad ba'adar, in the first day of Adar. Mashmin al shkolim, they'd go ahead and they announce, people get your shkolim together. Ve'al kalayim, they would tell people to go ahead and uproot the kalayim from their fields. V'yom ha'melech Muhammad akesev naslacha v'yam lasas boy k'tov beinecha. Says Achashverosh to Haman, listen, you don't have to give money, forget about it. You don't have to give me money, do whatever you want. Amar Reb Abba, Mashalach Amar Aleph, Mashalach Achashverosh Haman ma'adav adayme, the shnei bnei Adam, le'echad hoyoloi tal, b'toich sadeyu, Achashverosh, he had like a tal. He had a hill in his sadeh, and he had a ditch. So one person has dirt and one person needs dirt. One person has dirt to get rid of. He wants to get rid of the tal to even up the ground. The other person's got a ditch. He wants to fill the ditch to go ahead and even up the ground. So, Bal chritz amami tenli tal ze b'damim. Who would give me this tal b'damim? And Bala tal amar mi tenli chritz ze b'damim. They meet up with each other. Amalai bal chritz the balatal. Machali telech, sell me your tal. Amalai tulei sam bechinam. Balavai, just leave it. You know what? It's great. You take it. It's wonderful. Says Achashverosh, Haman Achashverosh, I'll give you money. Sech Achashverosh, get rid of them. No problem. Okay, listen to this. Let's get back. Esther is living with two men. How is that possible? So Tosfos asks the kasha. It's just that little Tosfos, guys. On your Gimel Amid base, there's a little Tosfos there. V'toivelis v'yesheves b'cheika shel Mordechai. V'im toimar. V'holeichoya shom havchonas shloisha chadashim. Fellas, if a woman gets divorced or a woman's husband dies, she can't remarry before 3 months pass by. We have to ascertain if the child born is we have to know who it is. If she gets married within 3 months and the child is born, it's a suffix. Is it a 9 month to the first husband or a 7th month to the second husband? Again, a 7th month child can live. So therefore, what's called havchana, to discern who exactly is the father of the child, we have to go ahead and figure it out. Esther had a child from Achashverosh. His name was Daryavish. Daryavish was the child of Esther. Now, how could she live with 2 people? You won't know who the father of the child is. That's Taisa's question. And for Taisvis, the Yesh Leimar, and it says, that Russia was with her every single day. She used the contraceptive. Moich is a type of contraceptive. Exactly. Gemara Yavamis, whether you did it before the relations or after relations, Machlekes, Rashi, and Taisvis. Who can use it? There's also Machlekes. Again, we'll get to Yavamis soon enough. But she was Mishamish b'moich. Then there's a Machlekes who she was Mishamish b'moich with. According to the Turei Even, she was Mishamish b'moich with Mordechai because the child was from Achashverosh. According to the Marsha, she was Mishamish b'moich with Achashverosh. Again, it's either one. That's a question. Now, so one way to take care of the problem is she used a contraceptive. The Tosfos Rush says there was another means of contraceptive, a more natural means. The Gemara in Yavamis describes misapeches, where a woman would turn over. If she doesn't get pregnant, she would turn over, probably stand up some way to make sure that the zera does not impregnate the egg. And that was a certain means of going ahead and stopping the occurrence. There are other terutzim to this kasha. One is a teretz of the Maharal that she never lived with Mordechai again. It says by the lashon of Mordechai, the Maharal says the Maharal, it says Yosheves b'cheikoi. What is my sheves? She literally sat in his cheik, in his chest. She was miyachid with him, but she never had relations with him again. Again, we have a problem. We know that she had a child from Achashverosh. We have to know how could she then be with Mordechai? So we have contraception would be one way in guaranteeing it. Makes sense. Like the Turei Even, the contraception was in Mordechai to assure that Achashverosh was the father of the child. Conversely, it could be if she was never with Mordechai. That's the Maral's approach. She was never with Mordechai, and since she was never with Mordechai, then again we know that Achashverosh was the father of the child. There's 2 other approaches, both one more unique than the other. We'll save the more unique for last. The Sefer Yoris Davash, that's the Sefer written by Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz. A bunch of interesting things. And he says the following: whether havchana, discerning whether 3 months is a derabanan or deraisa. If it's derabanan, it's easy to say there was no havchana. They weren't goyza yet havchana in those days. If it was deraisa and there was havchana, so what does it say? It says v'toiveles. She would go ahead and go to the mikvah. Now this is a shast sar. The shast sar, the only time you're able to have tashmish is the night of the tefillah. The only time you could have tashmish relations is the night of tefillah if it's a shast sar. And here Mordechai saw it's a shast sar, so he would only live with her when the night of when she went to the mikvah. If she's going to the mikvah, says the Yoris Davash, obviously she saw dam. If she saw dam, obviously she must not have been pregnant. It's a brilliant thing. Taiveles, why is she going to the mikvah? Obviously because she's a nida, and therefore she went to the mikvah. And the only time you were permitted to live together was that night. So therefore, you know for sure that she was not what? She was not pregnant from Achashverosh. So you wouldn't have a problem of havchana, according to the Yoris Davash. The last pshat is just the wildest pshat. I think I forgot to pick it up. So let me see if I can get this. Yes, I could. Okay. Guys, can you see this? You can see this page. Okay, guys, you're going to go out of your minds. This page, it's too, okay. Let me, this is the Zayhar. This over here, guys, is the Zayhar. It's in Parshas Kiseitze, and it's Daf Reish Ayin Vav, and it says the following: V'hacha Sisra Ravava. Here was Esther's name, it's going on the name of Esther, guys. The name of Esther, we said in the Yom Aleph, was the shorish of Samich Tes Reish, the lashon of Seser. Here was the biggest Seser. Uvegindon Esther lishna desara, ata Seseli shchinte astira la me'achashverosh, v'yovlav shida ba'asra, v'schadis iu b'deroi l'mordechai. Now, what the heck does that mean? Let's see what that means. Okay, look at. Let me pick this up. Here, guys. V'hacha sasaravava v'kan be'Esther haya seser hagadol. It was she'ashchina histira es Esther. Ubegin da Esther lishna disra lekach Esther he loshen seser k'moshe kasav. Ata seseli v'hainu shechinta astiris la me'achashverosh. The Shechina hid Esther from Achashverosh shlayira isa, that he would not see her. V'yavle shida ba'asra, v'nasnala shida b'mkama. He took a shade, a demon, and put the demon in place of Esther. Ratzalaymar she'efrida es chelik hara mimena. He was pirate. He separated a chelik of bid v'hoisa nearest kid Musa mamish, and it appeared to Achashverosh if it was Esther. V'ima hoyim is davig Achashverosh. And with this chelik of Esther, the bad part, that Achashverosh was with, Aval Esther nishara b'kedushasa, Esther remained b'kedushasa. So, according to this shot, there was no need for Hamachana, because he was never with Esther. He was with a shade. And there's a sefer called the Reach Dudayim, who is medayik on Rashi. Guys, Rashi says, Shahoisa Toiveles, she was Toiveles, and Rashi says, the Lashon, he says, Vishachva, the Lashon of Shchiva, he said he was lying with Esther, but he really wasn't with Esther, because the chelik of Esther, like that he was, is the shade called Esther. And the name of this shade was Moich, according to another opinion. So when Taisa says, you Mishameshes b'Moich, the shade's name was Moich, and that's who he's Mishamesh with. Pelaployim.
So how do you explain Darius from Achashverosh?
Okay.
She had a child from Achashverosh.
Okay, so it's a very good kasha. So according to this Mahalech, if you look in Rashi in the Torah, Rashi, and look at Rosh Hashanah Daled. We did the sugya there. It says that Dayavish had a shagel that sat next to her. The Gemara said it was a kalbasa. It was a female dog, right? And the Rashi brought that a ben noyach is muzar and a female dog. So there's the opinion that it was not Mordechai's son. That it was not Nachash. It was not Esther's. It wasn't Esther's son. It wasn't Esther's son. What does Rashi say it's with a ben Noach, right? Obviously, it's with ben Noach, meaning if it's Esther's son, we know that anyone comes from a Jewish woman is Jewish. So obviously, if Rashi's saying over there it's ben Noach, and this is according to Rashi, they're learning this. Sefer is learning in Rashi that she was with the shade. So for Chayra, it's not Ben Esther. It's someone else. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's. There's a mahalach over here that even if it was Esther's son, that you would need Geras. When it says Evet Ukuti Haba Bas Yisrael Avad Kasha, it means it's kasha that it's not a mamza, but you still have to be Megaya. So therefore, that's the possibility. Again, your question's a good question. It's a very, very difficult Indian. And the Torah Yevon says that's why Mishmeshes Mamoich was going on Mordechai, not Achashverosh. Either way, guys, you have 5 different ways to explain a very difficult Indian. 1, like Taisus Amoich. 2, like Taisus Arosh, Misapeches. 3, the Maral, they were never together. 4, the Eris Devasha was the Toivel, there was a Nida, so you know that she wasn't pregnant. And 5, he was never with Esther, there was a shade. Fascinating. I wish you all a great evening.